Talking Cougar soccer on the Coaches Show, Mediacom Channel 22. We previewed a little bit about conference games that are left for the Columbia College Cougars. So it's sitting at 2-1 right now, trying to chase Hannibal, getting some fingers crossed, hoping some help some other ways, at least for the top seed in the tournament. Once you get into the conference play, tournament action, anything's possible. And obviously, you'd like to host as many matches as possible. And we touched on a little bit about the rivalry with William Woods in conference play. Obviously, a big game at home for you guys in that match, and then let's talk about the rest of the conference games to finish out.
We still have a couple of more home matches. We'll play Williams Baptist on Friday night, and then we go to Harris Stowe in St. Louis next week, and then we finish out with Park University next Friday evening at home. So we still have a bulk of our conference play to take care of, and nothing will be easy. Williams Baptist actually took Park to overtime earlier in the year, but Park did get the result. Park's always a great battle for us. In recent years, we've had to beat them in the conference tournament, I think both years, to win it and get that automatic bid to the national tournament. So a lot of good soccer still to be played at Marvin Owens Field, and it'd be great to see some of the, the Columbia fans come out and watch some good soccer.
And those Park matches, several of them, the last few, have been overtime games and kicks and so on and so forth, whether it was at their place in the tournament or here. You go back even a couple seasons to the Family Day homecoming game that was an overtime victory for you guys. And since they've rejoined the AMC conference, that's been another team that's been right there at the top along with you guys.
Yeah, and they seem to have had a little bit of a down year, but they'll show up in Columbia ready to play soccer. And I just don't, we can't take anything for granted down this home stretch of conference, and our soccer's been good, but you still have to find the net, and so we got our work cut out for us the next couple of weeks.
It's that theme that we talked in this very room here in the varsity room with Coach Washington and from volleyball last week. It's amazing with those two C's on a uniform or on a schedule. We'll draw a nice little circle and a bullseye on a lot of opponents' schedules and cork boards, if you will, whether it's the soccer, whether it's volleyball or basketball, all the programs. Obviously have been successful in the conference, and a lot of people take pride in bringing their best effort against your team.
Yeah, you do usually see an opponent's best effort, how they dig down and find it, or why CC means they have to find more. We kind of preach, I want the same effort every single time we step on the field, and I generally think we get that. But it does seem like there's a little bit of extra incentive when opponents come to Marvin Owens or catch us in conference play.
A couple of honors again. Matt McKenna again picks up a defensive honor for his play in goal. Another solid performances here for him. A couple more shutouts and the one goal he gave up in the Westminster game late in that one, but still a solid effort by your keeper. And obviously the big four in front of him are doing an amazing job. You mentioned Rapp almost had a goal, and so he's getting at least a crack on the offensive side a little bit.
Yeah, no, Matt's done a great job, and the back four probably don't get quite the credit that they deserve. I think Nicola often does. We often go to Nicola, but really it's been a steady group back there. Dan Rapp and Tom Vincent and Tim Tevlin. And Tim will leave us after the year, but 3 of the 4, 75% of that backfield returns again next year. So we feel real comfortable about our defensive organization.
And that's been something you've been able to work through. Last year you had that transition with Ryan Goldkamp, who had been a mainstay on your outside back in the back, and now you're able to just kind of reload, if you will, instead of rebuilding on that back.
Well, we were. Tim's a left-sided player himself, so and he played in the center midfield last year, but we got comfortable with Andres Acosta and Udai in the center midfield. Tim just stepped immediately back there, and being the captain, I mean, no dispute. He just does what you ask of him, and he's done a great job there. So that might be harder to fill next year. Certainly Danny Baird could go over there, but I like to have a left-footed player on the left side of the field, and Dylan's the same up at the left side, left midfield. So we're going to have a whole side of the field to fill in recruiting this year, but so far it's been good this year.
We'll talk a little bit about the offensive players, and also a peek in our final segment with the building of the women's program for Columbia College, as I mentioned, in conference play with the schools, at least in the AMC, that have women's programs. Doubleheaders will be on the schedule. We'll kind of pick the brain of the coach on how that'll work and preview that coming up after we take a quick break. Come back more on the Columbia Cougars Coaches Show as we talk Cougar soccer on ColumbiaCougars.com and Mediacom Channel 22.